Kaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantigam Bandeham Shri Guru Sri Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamsa Sripam Sagrajatam Sahajana Raghunatha Vitam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadhutam Parjanam Saitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahajana Lalita Shri Vishaka Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapt Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Parnamami Hari Priya Vanchkalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Evasya Janam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Om Vishnu Padayo Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedantu Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Vashyate Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakti Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So how is everybody doing, devotees?
Good, Prabhu.
So I want to make sure that I'm recording it, and then let's see how many devotees we have. Sri Radhika Mataji is not here. And then we do not have Ashok Prabhu here. And also Deepa Mataji. Is it Deepa Swen or Deepa Akapelli? Who is this Mataji?
Prabhu, I'm here, Deepa Akinapalli.
Okay, Hare Krishna Mataji. So Swen.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Okay, so we have 3 devotees missing. Thank you, Hare Krishna. Not pronounced to everybody. I just have to keep track of the attendance also, because there is 10 to 15% marks just, you being here on this session. So we are going to start chapter 12. Title of the chapter is Devotional Service. And this is going to be last chapter for module 2. And also chapter after which we can give the exam if you all desire to do so. So this chapter has total 20 verses, shortest chapter, and we can basically have 4 subsections in this chapter just to keep the flow. I mean, many devotees, if you want to segment it, there are multiple ways you can segment it, but for our purpose here, we'll just keep entire 20 verses in 4 segments. So very first, Arjun is inquiring, who is better, personalist or impersonalist? Then from verse number 2nd to 7th, personalist versus impersonalist, and supremacy of Krishna Bhakti. So personalist or impersonalist, what's the challenges with both type of approach, and then the supremacy of bhakti to Krishna is established, and then After that, there are several stages given where Krishna is saying that if you cannot do Ananya Bhakti, then you come here. If you cannot do this, then you come here. If you cannot do this, then come here, like that. So it's starting from the top, which is Ananya Bhakti or Kevalya Bhakti, pure devotional service. And then it's going down slowly. And then last few verses from 13 to 20, qualities of the devotees who are dear to Lord Krishna. So if we want to be dear of Lord Krishna, then we need to have those qualities. So that's how this chapter will finish. But I'm not going to finish the entire chapter today. I'll go maybe up to verse number 11 or 12. And if I get time, we'll have some discussion here now. Maybe, we'll try to hear what's your understanding is about personal and impersonal approach. And then also bhakti versus Gyan Yoga and some, other ladders of the yoga process. So we'll have some discussion today among ourselves. So that's the plan I have. I'll just start with the last two verses of chapter 11, where we are summarizing, saying that Krishna is known or seen only by Ananya Bhakti. So at the end of the chapter 11, Krishna is very much confirming that pure devotees, only devotees who are pure, they can have darshan of the Supreme Lord, whichever form we are talking about here, either it's a Virat form, or it's four-armed form, or it's two arms form. Any form of Lord, only pure devotee can see. And then Bhagavad Gita, the essence of Bhagavad Gita is to help us attain pure devotion for the Supreme Lord. So these are the last two verses that we finishes chapter 11. So let's see what's coming up here. So for chapter 12, as we talked, the very first question is that personal versus impersonal. So just to give a little bit more background, in the previous chapter, Krishna concluded with the supremacy of the Bhakti-Yoga or devotional service unto his personal form as Syam Sundar. So Lord has personal form and Bhakti is the supremost process. Nevertheless, there are people who prefer to meditate on the impersonal Brahman. And surprisingly, being from India, I had no idea, until I read Srila Prabhupada's book, that the place where I belong to, or in my childhood time, I saw so many impersonalists. And then I was reading Chaitanya Charitamrita, and Srila Prabhupada was quoting those places. Mithilanchal, I'm very close to Mithila, where Mati Radharani was born. Sorry, Sitaji was born, Mother Sita. So, very in 1.5 hours I can bike and go there. So Mithila is like, in my courtyard. So when I was reading Prabhupada's purport, then there are so many, he's appreciating that there are so many Shuddh, devotees, a pure devotee coming from that area. But also there are small segments who are Mayavadi, and some of them you would not know, but I know them. So I was so surprised. But at that time, no, I would have just taken them as a serious soul who are trying to be, somebody. But reading Srila Prabhupada's purport and commentary, we come to understand that this is something called impersonal. So there are people still who are, following the path of impersonalism. So let's see what their destinations are. So Arjun inquired about these two classes of people. Who is personal? What's the basically benefit of being personal, and what's the benefit of being impersonal? And then he is asking the benefit of his position, being bhakti yogi and being personal, because he was close associate of Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we'll start getting into the verses now. So very first verse, Arjun inquired, who is better, personalist or impersonalist? Who is perfect knower of yoga, or the process of quickly attaining you? Yoga Vitamaha amongst the following. First, the personalist devotee who always worship you. Bhaktas tam parupashyate. Or as impersonalist meditator who worship the transcendental, unmanifest, impersonal form. So we'll basically see the first question, and then in the purport, I would just like to read a few sentences from the purport also. So the verse is, Evam satata yuktaye bhaktastam parupashyate e chapi aksharam avyaktam tesam te yoga vitamaha. Prabhupada is writing here, we find in this chapter that of the different process for realization of absolute truth, Bhakti Yoga, devotional service is the highest. So all the yoga ladder, which is basically starting with Karma Kanda, and then Karma Yoga, then Gyan Yoga, then Dhyan Yoga, and then Bhakti Yoga. So amongst all the processes, devotional service is the highest. If one, and this is a very powerful statement to be noted, if one at all desires to have, so by the way, when we are doing this lecture, you should have Bhagavad Gita next to you. That's the thing, you know, we are not just trying to stick with this PowerPoint presentation. That is why I like reading, you know, on this class, because the intent of this course is that we stick with Bhagavad Gita and we read Bhagavad Gita. So if one at all, I'm just giving the essence so that we can, you know, move quickly. But our intent is that we should be reading Bhagavad Gita. If one at all desires to have the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then he must take to devotional service. So we must take the bhakti process if we desire to see Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Hari. So Arjuna is asking that who is best or who is better out of these two, personal and impersonal. So verse number second, pure devotee of Krishna or devotees of Krishna's are most perfect in yoga. Arjuna Vacha, those should be Bhagavan Vacha. Yeah, sorry for that. It should be Bhagavan Vacha. So those who fix their mind on my personal form and are always worshipping me, desiring to associate with me, endowed with great and transcendental faith, are considered by me to be most perfect. So Arjuna asked question that who is better, personal or impersonal, and Krishna is right here answering that those who fix their mind on my personal form, right in this, verse number 2. Maya Veshya Manoe Ma Nitya Yukta Upashate Shraddhaya Prayo Upataste Me Yukta Tamaha Mataha Tame Yukta Tamaha Mataha are considered by me to be most perfect. One whose mind is fixed on Krishna's personal form. And then in the purport, Prabhupada is writing, in answer to Arjuna questions, Krishna clearly says that he who concentrates upon his personal form and who worship him with faith and devotion is to be considered most perfect in yoga. For one in such Krishna consciousness, there are no material activities because everything is done for Krishna. So this is very beautiful, statement again. Once we are acting in a bhakti, then there is no material activity because we are acting for Krishna. For one in such Krishna consciousness, there are no material activities because everything is done for Krishna. A pure devotee is constantly engaged. Sometimes he chants, sometimes he hears or read books about Krishna, or sometimes he cooks prasadam or goes to the marketplace to purchase something for Krishna. Or sometimes he washed the temple or the dishes. Whatever he does not let a single moment pass without devoting his activities to Krishna. Such action is in full samadhi. So samadhi is the topmost limb when we are in the dhyana yoga. And when devotee is acting in bhakti yoga, you might not be going through the yama and niyama and asana and pranayama and pratihara and dharana and dhyana and sadhana. You might not be seems to be doing all of that, but here Prabhupada saying that a devotee who is acting for Krishna for his pleasure as a person is in samadhi. So sama adhi, sama means complete, and adi means in yoga, in service. So one who is basically completely engaged, ananya bhaktas, in serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead or in complete samadhi. So the verses are powerful, and Prabhupada, if you go through these verses and the purports, Prabhupada has given relatively bigger purports in the verses of this chapter, because these are kind of concluding verse, which is very clear, giving instruction to us. So I request all of you to read those purports very carefully and try to basically not just to answer the question, but try to develop some thought process and some your own realizations as you are going through those purports. So Krishna now here said that his personal form is the best. Process and destination of devotees who are impersonal. And one thing that I would like to also mention here, that while you are reading the purport of this chapter, Prabhupada will use the word transcendental for both Jnani and Bhakti, Bhaktas also. So devotees who are Brahman realization, or they are yogi, or they are devotee. So Brahmanwadi, Paramatmavadi, or Bhagwanwadi, all three Prabhupada calls them transcendentalists because maybe they are not worshipping the personal form of the Supreme Lord, but they are very close. They are very close. So we do have some reservation against Mayavad, but at the same time, you also have to understand that they are much closer to Krishna than the people who are demigod worshipper, or people who are on the platform of jnana, on the platform of buddhi, so all of that, these three personalities have crossed all other, levels of advancement. They are on their peak, maybe not very, close to the personal form, but they are also being called here transcendentalist. So see, the process and destination for the impersonal. So we just saw about the personal, for the impersonal. But those who fully worship, so 2 verses, 3 and 4 verses, both of them are talking about the process and then their destination. So I kind of clump them together. But those, and the way things are written, it's very much coming from the translation. It's not like that, that I be creative or something like that. I just, kind of segment as we see the points. So, but those who fully worship the unmanifested, number one, which is beyond the sense perception and indefinite. So these are the features of impersonal form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Beyond the sense perception, indefinite, all-pervading, inconceivable, unchanging, fixed, immovable. And then we'll continue in verse number 4. By the process, so the feature of the impersonal form, and then the process, by the process of controlling various senses, being equally disposed to everyone. Such person, here we are talking about yogi, dhyani and Jnana yogi, at last achieve me. But very important to be noted, achieving me does not mean that going back to Vrindavan Dham, getting into the domain of the Madhurya Rasa. They basically get the impersonal Brahman, not the personal Supreme Lord. Being engaged in the welfare of all. So by doing all of this, ultimately they attain the destination of merging into the Brahman effulgence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, so right after that, somebody will say that, okay, so the devotee is also going to see Krishna. But if you really look at the destination of the Mayavadis or Gyanvadi or Brahmanvadi, they are also, Krishna is also saying here that such person at last, so the word to be noted is that at last achieves me. So they achieve Krishna. So what is the difference then? What is the difference between one who is doing bhakti through Vadi Bhakti or Raganuga Bhakti versus one who is following the path of Jnana? So we'll see the difference. So I have a slide here that that has some few points here. It's highlighting the difference. We'll look at the verse number 5. Troublesome path of the impersonalist. Advancement is very troublesome for those whose minds are attracted to the unmanifested, impersonal feature of the Supreme. To make progress towards the unmanifest is difficult for those who are embodied. So for embodied being, advancing towards the Brahman realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, number one, they do not get the ultimate destination. They do not go Vrindavan. And they get impersonal Brahman, but even that process is mentioned here, that it's very, very troublesome. So we'll see some salient differences, and then we'll also talk at the end of this class what you all think about impersonalist versus personalist. So Bhakti-Yoga versus Jnana-Yoga. Those who worship the impersonal feature of the Supreme Lord are called Jnana-Yogis. And those who perform devotional service in full Krishna consciousness are called Bhakta-Yogis. So that's clear distinction. The impersonals are basically called Jnana-Yogis, and devotees are called Bhaktas, Bhakti-Yogis. Like the Supreme Lord, the living entity is also originally Sat Chit Anand. So Lord has feature of Sat, Chit and Ananda, eternal knowledge and blissful. By Jnana Yoga, an embodied soul may realize the eternal and knowledge aspects of the original Lord, which is Shat and Chit feature, but the blissful portion is realized only by Bhakti Yoga, which is easier and is natural for the soul. So Lord has three features: Sat, Chit, Anand. All of you know that. So by impersonal practices or impersonal yogi, they most of the time, if they are merging into the impersonal feature in the Brahman Jyoti, they only know this, they only come to understand the Sat feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But if they are Paramatma Yogi, Dhyan Yogi, then they come to Chit feature. So Sat and Chit. So impersonalist can hardly reach up to Sat and Chit feature. But the last part, which is Ananda feature, the blissful part of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that feature cannot be realized by impersonalist. So Sat Chit Anand, that's the complete realization of the Supreme Lord, and Sat Chit Anand feature is realized only by Bhakta Yogi. By the grace of some devotee, a transcendentalist, highly learned in the process of Jnana Yoga, may come to the point of Bhakti Yoga. Bahunam janmanamante jnanvan mam prapadyante. After many births, the Jnanvan may get the opportunity to come to the stage of Bhakti Yogi. And that is why sometimes, we say that, it's God gifted, we see so many devotees, so many people, when they are on this planet, and when they show their, some of, their qualities, it appears that, oh my gosh, how somebody can have that much quality. I mean, it's too much, too much that we have to do. But we should also understand that it's not just one life we have acquired the qualities that we have. Our swabhava that we have with us, this swabhava has been coming, birth after birth, birth after birth, birth after birth, So every birth has transplanted or has imposed some swabhava to us. So that is why our nature, our personality is very complex, very complex, very complex, very, very complex. Two person cannot be exactly the same because they have millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of experiences from the previous life, and every life they have received some swabhava. And in our current life, we are depicting the swabhava that we have acquired life after life, life after life, life after life, life after life. But if we are fortunate enough, Guru Krishna Prasade Paya Bhakti Lata Vij, Brahmanda Bharmitte Kono Bhagyavan Jiv. So we are just going through the cycle of birth and death and birth and death and this and that, all different types of form. But at some point, if we are fortunate, then we get the blessing of a devotee, and then we inspire ourselves to be Bhakti Shastri. We inspire ourselves to promote the preaching of Krishna consciousness and be a devotee who is going to meditate on the personal feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that's what is mentioned here, that even Jnana Yogi cannot attain the personal realization, the Satchitanand realization of the Supreme Lord, unless and until they are blessed by association of devotees. So that's how powerful the devotees are. Even that goal of impersonal Brahman. So the Jnani attains the impersonal Brahmans, which is attained by Jnana Yoga. By such suffering is only by having a mixture with bhakti. So Jnana Yogi may not have perfect devotion, or maybe they don't worship Supreme Lord with perfect using the Nodha Bhakti, 9 limbs of the Bhakti, Swanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smarnam Padasevanam Archanam Bandhanam Darsam Sakhyam Atmanivedanam, might not be exactly following the 9 limbs, but they have some devotion. They have, and they do some tapa, samatapa, daya, saucham. These are the 4 pillars of the dharma, and they have some of these things. They are very self-controlled. So in concise way, that even they have to go through a very harassing type of scenario, still they come to the impersonal realization. And that also because they have some tinge of bhakti. Okay, so Hare Krishna devotees, we chant, we dance, we dance, and then we eat rasgullas and all of that. But some of these yogi who are so renounced, they can never believe that we have destination higher than them. How come? They are living in a secluded place and they have fully renounced everything, mind control, they are not talking. And all of that we studied, in chapter 6. They are doing chapter 6 and also some part of chapter 4. All of these sacrifices they are doing. So they do everything, but ultimately their destination is not high as destination that we have. So the series of verses that we have here in this chapter, this divine grace is basically trying to establish the supremacy of the devotional service by saying that devotional service is very easy process, and it's our nature also. I just I didn't highlight that, but I know which is easier and is natural for the soul. So our nature is basically to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Though the Bhakti Yogi, last point, though, and very important point, though Bhakti Yogi also endure difficulty in controlling senses and engaging in various angas of bhaktis, angas, the 9 limbs that I just said. So we also have challenge, and challenge is that we are struggling to control our senses, to get up early morning and to be a strong sadhaka. But see the beauty of bhakti yogi process, because the appearance of Krishna's blissful form, they do not experience the same suffering as the impersonalists do. So that's basically the devotees are under care of Supreme Lord Sri Hari. So they can easily basically conquer the deficiencies that we have. So Vadi Bhakti, that's basically we are talking about. While we are in the process of Vadi Bhakti is basically the process by which slowly and slowly we advance, and then our goal is that Vadi Bhakti is still done with some awe, with some reverence, with some desire, with some motivation. Although it's Bhakti of Krishna, but it's not full Bhakti. It's basically preparing ourselves. So you can go back and look at the slide that we talked about: Pradhan Bhuta Bhakti, Guna Bhuta Bhakti, Pradhan Bhuta Bhakti, and Kevalya Bhakti. So Vadi Bhakti can take us very high, but we have to come and come to the platform of Raganuga Bhakti. Raganuga Bhakti is basically our goal. So that is why we should be very, very serious about Vadi Bhakti. Okay, which means following the 4 regulatory principles, getting up in the morning, chanting our rounds, reading Prabhupada's book. Unless and until we don't be very strong with our Vadi Bhakti, how we can go to the Raganuga Bhakti, right? So Vadi Bhakti, we have to be very good, and that Vadi Bhakti, by doing repeatedly, by doing day in, day out, it will become our nature, and then we'll transition into the Raganuga Bhakti. So this is very powerful chapter, very important chapter. So I would like to make sure that we are all ready now to perform the pure Bhakti when we finish chapter 12. Okay. So now verse 6 and 7, Bhakti is the simple and easy path. Very nice. Bhakti is the simple and easy path. So, but for those who give up all their activities unto me, being devoted to me, without deviation, engaged in devotional service, and always meditating upon me and worshipping me, for them I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. I deliver them quickly, ocean of Partha, because they fix their mind upon me. So we saw just in the previous verse how difficult it is, verse number 5, for those who are impersonalists, and how easy it is for those who are personalist. So when we are talking about the personalist, some of the terms that is being used here, who give up all their activities. So Ananya Bhakti, exclusive devotion. So we are not at that stage. So if we are feeling some some pain on the process of bhakti, we should not think that here the Krishna is saying that bhakti process is easy for everybody. But no, it's basically mentioned here that once we give up all of our material activities and we are situated in Ananya Bhakti without deviation, then it's going to be easy. Tesam ham samudharata. Samudharta. For them, I am the swift deliverer. Mrityu samsara sagarat, from the ocean of birth and death. So right, one-to-one comparison, we can see challenge that we have being impersonal, and then advantage we have being personal. Krishna explained difference between worshipping his personal and impersonal feature. Up to these verses, there is no reciprocation from the impersonal feature, but there is full protection and swift deliverance from the personality Krishna. So verse number 6 and 7 and 5, these three verses is kind of summarized here, that there is not much reciprocation when one is approaching Krishna as a Gyan Yogi. Of course, I mean, Krishna, a Chitta Guru, he's taking care of each and every living being. But when it comes in terms of, rewarding the results that will grant them to obtain love or pure love for Supreme Lord, that is not there when one approach Krishna in his impersonal feature. And that is why many places you will read, why, we are talking, I mean, many people would not believe. They, impersonal, they have a lot of gyans. If you talk to them, oh my gosh, they are very good in philosophy and all these things, Shastra, and they use the same Bhagavad Gita and same scripture, but they give impersonal interpretation. So that's the danger. That's very danger. Krishna is saying something else and they are saying something else. They are not aligning with what Krishna is teaching. So from the very beginning, they are disobedient. They're very disobedient. We have, uh, we have basically son and daughters. They are our own. They are our own, but one of them is very obedient. They are dear, and there is one that's very disobedient. They're not hearing. So that's the basically position of the impersonal. They have everything. They will refer all of these. But that's why Mahaprabhu's teaching is that by hearing Mayavadi, all the knowledge will become shunya. All the pious that I have accumulated by hearing Mayavadi, everything will be nullified, because they seems to be following the scripture, knowing the scripture, but their application is completely wrong. So having established of bhakti as supremacy, supreme object, Krishna will now explain in the next 5 verses multiple levels of bhakti, beginning with the highest stage. So now from verse number 8 to 12, we are going to see what is destination of a person who cannot do Ananya Bhakti. Not everybody. So if you follow the flow, first, personal versus impersonal. We know the destination of the impersonal. Then we are now talking about personal. So if we have if we approach Krishna as a person, and if we are fully situated in Ananya Bhakti, then based of the both world, we are right here. I mean, but we are not there, or there are people who are not there. So then Krishna is going to answer what happens if one is approaching him as a person, but that person is not situated in Ananya Bhakti, is not situated in pure devotion. So, two verses, verse number 8 and 9, will talk if they are doing bhakti with their internal senses. So, verse number 8 says, Mayave manah adhastasya mai buddhim niveshayah nivshesasi mayave atah urdhvamna samsayah maya eva mana adhastava. So one who fixes his mind, whose mind is exclusively fixed on Krishna, Mai buddhim niveshya, and then one whose mind is always remembering Krishna. No, that's what Krishna is saying. The person whose mind is always fixed, who is a person whose mind is exclusively on Krishna, fixed on Krishna, and who are always remembering Krishna. So this part of verse 8 is basically Asmarnam Atmika Bhakti. So Atmika means internal and Asmarna means remembrance. So fix your mind on me exclusively by remembering me always. So the person who always remembers Krishna and whose mind is always fixed on Krishna, that type of devotion is called Asmarna Atmika Bhakti. And then in the same verse, fix your intelligence in me by contemplating on me. So when we are fixing our intelligence on Krishna, Mai Buddhim Nivesasya, Nivesasya, Mai Buddhim Nivesya. So once our mind is basically fixed on Krishna, then that is called Manah Atmika Bhakti. Okay. So when you will live in me always without a doubt. So if one has their mind always fixed in Krishna, remembering Krishna, and then one's intelligence is also engaged on Krishna, then those person are always living in Krishna without a doubt. So try to fix your mind on Krishna. But if you cannot fix your mind upon me without deviation, then endeavor to fix the mind on me, Abhyas Yoga, by following the regulative principle of bhakti. That is, withdraw the mind repeatedly from the sense object and fix it on me. This is Abhyas Rupa Bhakti. So it's great that we are in Asmarna Atmika Bhakti or we are in Mana Atmika Bhakti, which means our mind and our intelligence are fixed in remembering and acting for Krishna. But if we cannot do it, then we should try to make endeavor to fix our mind and intelligence in worshipping Krishna. So that's basically Abhyas Rupa Bhakti. So Abhyas Rupa Bhakti is basically bhakti that we are doing, sadhana bhakti. So Abhyas Yoga, so let's see some definition of Abhyas Yoga. Abhyas Yoga, under the guidance of a guru, one can follow the prescribed practices of Bhakti Yoga, like chant the holy name of Krishna, offering flower and food stuff to the deity, taking prasadam, hearing scriptures from devotee, and so on. So this is basically Vadi Bhakti. Okay, so if we cannot completely fix our mind on Krishna, if we cannot remember him all the time and use our intelligence in his service, then we should try to do that. We should try to get there. And how we can get there? We can get there by taking the Vadi Bhakti process. Okay, so dear devotee, is very important to understand here that Vadi Bhakti is not the real goal. Vadi Bhakti is a process which will help us to come to the stage where we are always going to be situated in the constant remembrance, and also using our mana and buddhi in service of Supreme Personality of Godhead. And how we get there? We get there by Sadhana Bhakti, by Abhyas Yoga, which is Sadhana Bhakti. So Sadhana Bhakti is very, very important, and we have to be very serious about our sadhana bhakti, because this is the ladder. This is ladder. If we perfect in that stage, then it will take us to the next stage. So three types of bhaktis are mentioned here: Asmarna Atmika, Mana Atmika, and Abhyas Rupa. The above three types of bhaktis are performed internally with mind and intelligence. Intelligent and inoffensive people can perform them easily, while less intelligent people find them difficult. As the mind is flickering like the wind, one may not be able to restrain it. For those who cannot even gradually fix the mind by practice, Krishna suggests the following options. So, if we come to the point of Vadi Bhakti, perfect. It's excellent. We should do it. But there are people who are not going to even do that. So Raganuga Bhakti is the topmost Bhakti. But if we cannot do Raganuga Bhakti, then we should try to do Vadi Bhakti. And if we cannot even do the Vadi Bhakti, then let's see what Krishna is asking us to do. So verse number 10, which is basically talking about that how we can engage our external senses in bhakti. And very important, most of you have heard, work for Krishna. Last night in our Bhagavatam discussion, not last night, I think 2 or 3 nights back, we had a question on that how we should work. We all are grihastha, we have jobs to do. So how we should use our, most of the time we are basically, the major portion of our day on weekdays is going, to basically keep our job or to do things that's related to our job. So how we can basically use that time to gain for our sadhana bhakti. So see what Krishna is saying here. Work for Krishna. If you cannot practice sadhana bhakti, then just try to perform your activities for the pleasure, though your mind is not on me. So this is basically perfection of our duty. This will attain perfection of our duty. So if we cannot do bhakti on Raganuga platform, Krishna is saying that, do practice, try to be, Vadi Bhaktas, and, endeavor, follow the limbs of bhakti by regulating your life. Sankhya Purvak Nama, 6 Goswamis, when we chant their prayer, there is one line that comes that they also Sankhya Purvak regularly, chanted the name quantitatively. So likewise, for us, if we want to basically get into the higher consciousness, we have to regulate our life in a quantitative way, chanting 16 rounds and, doing some stuff, 9 limbs of bhakti. That is more of a, day-to-day endeavor to enhance our consciousness. But if one cannot do that, see, such a kind Father. Krishna is not dropping anybody out of the basket. He's trying to put everyone in the basket. So work, even, externally, you can work for Krishna. Maybe your mind is not going to be thinking about Krishna, thinking, feeling, and willing, mana and buddhi is not there for Krishna, but externally you can work and you can basically give the fruits of your work in service of Krishna. Those who can do bhakti by both internal and external senses are most outstanding. Okay, so even on external level, if we can act for Krishna, this is perfection of our karma yoga. When we are acting, what is perfection of karma yoga? And it's karma yoga. We come to that stage where we act renouncing the fruits of our action, phalatyagam. We have renounced the fruits of our action, and that will be perfection of our action. So those who can do bhakti by both internal and external senses are most outstanding. But one may not be able to even work for Krishna because of social, familial, and religious considerations or other impediments. Krishna will now advise such people to sacrifice the result of their activities, if not fully, at least some percentage of the result. That's beauty. I love this chapter. Whenever I read this chapter, I see how Krishna is giving sanction one after another. Keep on, don't go away. Whatever you are, wherever you are, start and come towards me. So verse number 18, giving up the results of work. If you cannot offer all your actions to me, then try to act giving up all results of your work. Sarva karma phala tyagam. And try to be self-situated. So we'll try to finish here, and then I want to hear and have some discussion, not with me, but among ourselves. First, let's share some of your understanding about personal and impersonal feature of the Supreme Lord, and how you see it, and what you have that we can learn from your realizations. So who would like to start first? Is it not clear? What did I ask, or is it clear?
Oh, it's clear.
Okay, so please share some of your understanding about personal and impersonal feature of the Supreme Lord, or Bhakti Yoga versus Jnana Yogas. Do you agree with that? Or if you do not agree, why you do not agree? If you agree, then what are the other realizations you have that confirms that Bhakti Yoga is really superior than Jnana Yogi? Or if you were Jnana Yogi before and now you are Bhakti Yogi, then you can compare and see, as a Jnana Yogi, how did you, advance in your bhakti, and being in the Bhakti Yoga, how much you have advanced. So anything, it's pretty open. Whatever you have, kindly go ahead and share.
Well, this is Ashok here, so I would start. So I think this chapter is a very clear understanding. It gives us clear understanding that what's better, because that's where Arjuna is asking a question on our behalf, that what's better, really personal or impersonal, and Lord Krishna answers him very clearly that personal features are devotion to the personal features of him is the utmost goal, and it gives you the best results. So I have been involved with Gita reading, and my initial contact was mostly with the people who are not really following the personal. Yeah, so I can see that what the difference has been, because most of it's really gyan is mostly teaching and self-absorbing all the material which you learn, which is very difficult actually for people who are not very intelligent like us, or me at least. It's very, very difficult to absorb what you learn, and then there's really there's nothing you see in front of you to really believe on. It's all mental speculation mostly. I would call it speculation now. Before it was all so here you have a simple process of performing bhakti where you have the arch vigraha or Lord Krishna's murti, or you go to the temple, you see him directly, and you pray to him. And then obviously there are so many levels of really Krishna gives us in this chapter. And this is actually one of the chapter I like the most also, because it really relates to most people who are in the beginning stage, like me, who really like to kind of have that some hope that we certainly in maybe multiple lifetimes can reach to the level where he wants us to be. So just even starting from the very beginning stage, which is really what you have finished with just now. I think that's really a great thing to and then gradually help yourself with the direction from your spiritual guru master, and then following the path. And then I think the role models are always necessary. So I think that's what we look up to, that there's somebody who's really ahead of us, what he's doing or she's doing, and then you just follow, see them, how they're performing the bhakti. So this is really what my realization is.
Very nice. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. So next, we'll take time. Okay, please don't hesitate. The sooner you are done, the better it is, because everybody will have to say something. Prabhu, please go ahead. Ramakrishna Prabhu, you will start.
Sure, I'll go. Yeah, so I love this chapter also. In our local community here, in our morning call, our japa call at the end, and in the evening after our Srimad Bhagavatam class, we always recite the 12th and 15th chapter shlokas. So it's just a wonderful chapter. So so I was born Catholic, which is in Christianity is a personal belief in God, but that just never for whatever reason never worked for me personally. And then I studied Tibetan Buddhism, and I practiced that for probably a good 11 or 12 years, which is really it's an impersonalist. It's not, many people say it's atheistic, but it's not, because you actually do believe in Buddha, so or a form of a form of God. So but I stopped practicing because it just didn't, I never understood the concept of why would I want to merge into like this effulgence, right? It didn't work for me, and so I stopped. And that's why with Bhakti-Yoga, kind of the difference between Bhakti-Yoga or personalism and impersonalism for me is, when I think about friends of mine who are impersonalists, Hindu practitioners, more traditional, it's like I pray to this God for this and for a beautiful wife, for a new car, or more money, or that type of thing, and it's about what they're actually giving an order, or submitting an order for something to God, and God's not an order taker, right? So whereas Bhakti Yoga is, it's this unconditional devotional service and love of God, right, of Krishna, and that's and then actually doing that, offering everything up for the service of Krishna is it's easy. We as humans like to serve, right? We all serve somebody, so why not serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because that's where we're going to benefit, not any of this other nonsense. So anyways, so that's kind of my take on it, my perspective, and what I will say is, this COVID-19, if you are a person who's doesn't have to go into your work like I do, like I'm a knowledge worker, right? So I work at home from my computer since this has happened. And it's actually been a benefit for my spiritual life, because I work, unless I'm on a work call, I'm actually listening to kirtan or lectures in the background all day. And even when I was at work, I would have earbuds on and I'd listen to kirtan, but I'd get distracted from people coming by the desk. But now it's like, if I'm not on a call, I actually get my work done, but with Krishna and always present in my mind. So, so it's a huge benefit. So, you know, I love the day when we can get together and do Haranam Sankirtan and dance together and eat to get prasad together and cook together. But this has been a good thing. So anyways, Haribol.
Thank you. Yeah, so we'll have some more realizations. I think we should okay, go ahead, Mataji. Sri Radhe Mataji, wanna go ahead?
Sure, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. So one thought that was coming to my mind was, you know, growing up in India, you would see your family going through and praying all the demigods, right? I looked at my grandparents from praying to Kali to they came to this impersonal. Now I understand all the differences, but they were praying to this light that is, which is impersonalism. Now I understand, but coming to Krishna consciousness is just this chapter in one sloka now that I was just reading. It's just so wonderful, Prabhu. It's just hit me in the face because, you know, with 12, 14-hour work days, even being home, it, you know, I was not able to. I used to feel like all my days just going in this stupid job sometimes, but this shloka really gives us the hope. Here, Prabhupada says, a devotee does not live on the material plane. He lives in Krishna. The holy name of the Lord and the Lord are non-different. So when you chant his name, you know, dancing on your tongue, right? So when you offer the food, you're Krishnaized. That was very beautiful that, okay, whatever I do, I'm still getting Krishnaized, I guess. So I have some hope. So I really like this.
Yes, Mataji, thank you. So who will be next now? Please go ahead,
I can go next, Prabhu.
Yeah.
So I think for me, it's more of an acceptance, Prabhu. I know, like Sri Radhe Mataji was saying, and there are so many demigods we worship. We really don't know why we are worshiping them. You know, what is the purpose behind it? It's done more from the social pressure and acceptance standpoint than really, you know, out of love. You know, it's more done from fear than love. And I think which made me believe there is some, you know, higher authority than us, but beyond that, it didn't really give me any understanding or any love, right? You know, I think because we are seeing so many things happening around us every day, you know, which makes us believe there is some force beyond our control. That is the level of understanding I could come, you know, by growing up in such situations, not beyond that, right? But after starting, you know, coming here, like, you know, started listening, we can kind of connect these things together and then understand, you know, who's really the force behind it, you know, why these are happening, and you know, who is the controller, right? And then what should be ultimately doing, you know, how we should even worship the Lord, you know, that itself we didn't know to start with. And I think those are the things that we are slowly learning as we move along.
And there are so many things that, you know, we have to still find out. Like, you know, we got into the process of bhakti, and now some of the things, you know, as we are advancing and learning the Shastra, oh my gosh, comes like, you know, torchlight. Oh, why didn't know this part? So there are more things. You know, the more we get into this process, Krishna will, you know, he's Chit Guru, no? He's super soul residing in our heart. So, you know, I mean, whatever degree, you know, we have surrendered to Krishna, up to that degree, he's going to basically reward us. So you are right, you know, more to learn. Thank you, Prabhu. Next, who is Narayan Prabhu? You want to share something?
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. I attended Bhagavad Gita classes and all those things, but this Bhakti Shastri course is entirely different. And that too, you have to appreciate Ramacharya Prabhu. So because instead of listening in audio, so visual presentation is also very important that goes directly into your heart. So that's what it is happening at the Bhakti Shastri course. And especially this Bhakti-Yoga. So I really loved it because it's a combination of Karma Yoga, Gnana Yoga, and all combining both the things. And how it was presented, mainly this presentation by Ramachandra Prabhu, that has given very good impact on me, and I learnt a lot, and so really appreciate, and also other devotees also who is participating on time and coming to the class. Really love it.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. So let's hear from Somya Mataji. I've never heard anything from her. Mataji, can you share some understanding on this topic? Sorry, Mataji, but I hope you do not mind.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Yes, Mataji.
So like as a kid, my paternal grandparents were like not completely or it's like not inclined towards like spirituality. So my parents like being like little into spirituality, like I don't say like Krishna, but being worshippers of like various demigods. I used to like think that okay, people who at least like worship demigods are like very good people rather than like the in-person. I mean like the non-atheists. So like as like a worshippers or like demigods, like in kids, as a kid we used to like worship like very so many like demigods. So if I need anything, okay, let's like go and worship like some demigod for like education, for like a college seat or like some job or something else. So for me, I thought, okay, if I need anything, I can just like go and worship, and it's like so easy to like get. So I used to like wonder why people in the world don't like understand this concept that it's like very easy to get anything in this world. But after I got into like Krishna consciousness, then everything like made sense. Why people life are like shaped in a particular way, like the concept of karma and all. And Bhakti Yoga is like very practical in this age because we can't like keep on reading books because we have to like do other things like going for job and earning for ourselves, like socializing and all. So sitting and meditating at one place doesn't like work, and keep on reading doesn't work. So the only thing is like whatever we do, like it's like our daily normal life. It's just that we have to like keep thinking of Krishna. Even with like other processes, being like a human being, like we are always like we are always like thinking about something or other. We can't like stay inactive even like for a moment or like stop thinking. So instead of like thinking about some mundane things, if we just like think about Krishna, then it's like very easy for us to like make progress and like easily attain him and like get purified.
Thank you. Yes. So, the people who are worshipping demigods, they're not bad people. The thing is that there is higher chance for them to become Krishna's, devotees. So basically, there is, if you read Srila Prabhupada's book, there is a degree of advancement. Like, there are people who their intelligence is only up to the sense enjoyment. Then higher than that, them is the one whose intelligence is coming up to the mind, thinking, feeling, and willing. Then higher than that is intelligence, accepting and rejecting. Then higher than that is thinking that no, we are not this body, we are this soul. So this is all different degree of knowledge. Then higher than soul, thinking that now there is something beyond the soul, so something is higher. So they start so once you go beyond yourself, then you start putting your faith in the demigod. Then higher than demigod is basically no Brahman. So like Paramatma, then Bhagwan. So it's basically different degree of knowledge, and slowly and all these people, they have higher chance to become devotee of Krishna. Take the example of Ramakrishna Prabhu. Take the example of Ashok Prabhu. So all of us were searching God. Maybe we had different direction, but Krishna is a Chit Guru. At some point he says that you get on the back seat. Let me drive the car now, and that's what happens. He comes on the driving seat, Chit Guru, and then he starts driving the car, and then we are the follower in one sense. So those people have higher chance to come to Krishna. But thank you, Mataji. Let's hear from Gopal Prabhu. Gopal Prabhu, we'll go until maybe 15, and then remaining devotees will hear more next week. Gopal Prabhu, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Is it me or Bhupal Prabhu?
Gopal.
Gopal.
Yeah, Gopal Prabhu. Yeah.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, my understanding is I mean, my thinking is all echoed by Ashok ji and Soumya Mataji. I think I am stuck at Vadi Bhakti, Prabhu. That's what I feel. I am not never an impersonalist. We have been worshipping demigods all the time since childhood, but I think I'm still stuck at Vaidhi Bhakti, probably. That's what worshipping. And I'm not quantitatively, I do things, chanting or whatever, but I feel I'm not beyond that. I'm still stuck at that point. That's the thing I feel. Um, uh, that's the only thing I can share. The rest of the things are all shared by other people, which I echo, like Ashok ji and Soumya Mataji's exact examples. What she said was what I was thinking too.
So, Prabhu, it's very good to get stuck at Vadi Bhakti. So here is the thing, Prabhu. Bhakti only applies to Krishna. So whenever we use the word Vadi Bhakti or Raganuga Bhakti, wherever there is Bhakti, we are not stuck, Prabhu. We are fortunate. So Vadi Bhakti, when I said that, I said that we have to do our Vadi Bhakti very seriously, very, very seriously, to get to the Raganuga Bhakti. But getting the opportunity to do Vadi Bhakti is our great fortune, the greatest fortune. So we are not stuck. We are very, very fortunate that we have been given the opportunity to do Vadi Bhakti. When it comes in context of demigods, this word bhakti is not applied. Then there is a word called puja. Puja is basically for them. Bhakti is only for Vishnu. Whenever we are using the word bhakti, it's very good. It's just, because bhakti goes to Vishnu. So Vadi Bhakti, if we are get stuck into Vadi Bhakti, it's our greatest fortune. We wanna, be in the Vadi Bhakti and then be very good at it. Do very nicely Vadi Bhakti, because Vadi Bhakti will take us to the higher stage of the Bhakti. We cannot get into the college without passing the high school. So that was the point that I was trying to make. But thank you for sharing. We can take one more, whoever would like to do today. So we have Deepika Mataji, and Bhupal Prabhu and Karunanidhi. So whoever would like to take the next one, please take, and then we can wrap it up.
Krishna Prabhu.
Hari.
So now this is Aparna Prabhu. So I want to share one real.
Yes, Mataji. I don't see, where are you? Oh, Aparna Mata. Yes, Mataji. Hari bol. Yeah, please. Yes.
So, I mean, by the mercy of Krishna and also the association of devotees, like I was always, my path started from Bhakti-Yoga, like Krishna consciousness. Like I was never like wondering like which path is right or something like that. But last week, like I had a discussion with one of my relatives, like he's equally like a father to me. So I found out that he's an impersonalist, like he believes in Brahman. So, but I think this is one of the way like I can learn, the difference between what we are doing and what they are believing. I mean that as you said, Prabhu, like they are good, like whatever they speak, they are right, but they stop near Sat, like how you said, right, Prabhu, like they don't go beyond that. But and again, as Soumya Mataji said, like the Brahman, like whatever they believe is not possible in the Kali Yuga, because the Bhakti-Yoga which we which we take up is very easy to follow, like the 4 regulative principles, like whoever follows dharma, like Satyam, Socham, Daya, Tapas, the 4 regulative principles, those are all like connecting dots for us to get closer to Krishna. So yes, Prabhu, that's what I wanted to share.
Thank you. So remaining devotees, we can do next week also. We'll finish the chapter next week. Also, this is optional. It's not basically mandate. But one thing that we'll do, once this course is finishing, then all of you can basically give a 10, 15 minute, 20-minute talk. Either you can take one chapter, or you can take nectar of instruction, or will be done by a nectar of devotion, or Upanishad, or whatever you like. If you want to present in PowerPoint format, or you just want to come and talk. So everybody will basically get opportunity, 15-20 minutes, like you are giving a class. So we will be like so when suppose Soumya Mataji is talking, we all are hearing as a the students, and then she is leading the discussion. Prabhu, here is here is what I would like to let you know. This is how you should do. Likewise, this is a little bit practice of preaching. So we'll do that. Maybe, I don't know, I'll let you know, maybe at the end of the course, or if we find out that we can do before, we'll do before. But thank you so much once again. We'll chant.
Prabhu,
Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hari Hari.
I think we are getting close to the end of the 12th chapter. So
yeah,
do you have any dates for our next?
Yeah, so we'll talk about that next week, Mataji. But here is my plan. Since you all now know the exams and everything,
yep,
I'm not going to have too many sessions now for the preparation. I'll follow the same format, and I'm not going to give you any advice which verse to ask or which verse to. This is going to be, because last exam all of you did very good, so we had to basically take in a step. We have to have our own effort, and we have to. I'm like, so for next session, I'm not going to invest too much like verses and all of that. We'll just finish the class, and I'll just tell you that that's how the question is going to be, like 15-20 minutes, and then that's all. So I'm not going to invest, and I'm not going to have multiple sessions for exam preparation.
Do you have dates in mind, Prabhu, so we can start?
It depends on all of you, Matajis. So when all of you are aligned, maybe we'll give 1 week, 1 or 2 weeks after the 12th chapter, so that you all can prepare. And same format. The question will be exactly the same. Format will be same, no change. But this time, you just memorize the verses that is in that section, and prepare the whole context. Be ready for the exam. If you need a little more time, we'll give you. But the first one was just to, since it was very first exam, I wanted to invest and give you some ideas so that you all understand how it will happen. But I think it's very clear to all of you now, right?
Yes.
So you'll just keep it like as exam, regular exam. And if you have any specific questions, if it comes up, then we'll talk about it. Rather, we'll just get into the exam. I'll set up the question and send it to all of you. By the way, I have been kind of reporting it to devotees who are managing this, and they are very happy. I tell them that I have very dedicated devotees who have been coming, and they scored very high in their homework and exams. They said, very good, very good. Keep on encouraging everybody. So I'm not here to basically fail anybody. Everybody will have the certificate for sure. That's my kind of goal. But at the same time, we have to put our best forward to make sure that we learn best out of what we are going through. So that's why the next one we will just leave the field open, let you all study. If you want 2 weeks, that's fine. If you want 3 weeks, that's also fine. But we'll just do it. So I'm going to chant Vaishnava Pranams. Thank you so much for staying a little late. But once in a while, I think it's okay if we do this. Vanchkalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhuvya evasya patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Bal Bhakta Vrind ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Hari Bol.
Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. ISKCON Bhakti Vrind ki jai. Jai Jai Shri Radhe Shyam Sundar Bhagwan ki jai. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Dandot pranams to everybody. Hari Bol. Hare
Hari
Krishna.
Bol.
Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Hari Bol.
Prabhuji.
Hari Krishna.
Dandavat
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol. Dandavats. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you, everybody. Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.